Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into the absolute wild biology of a vegetable you've probably got in your fridge right now, but honestly, you've never truly understood it. We're looking at a plant that literally started out as an ancient Mediterranean swamp grass, was discovered inside 5,000-year-old Egyptian tombs, and is now revered by foodies as the king of vegetables. But what sits on your dinner plate is actually the result of an explosive biological process that is unlike almost anything else growing in the garden. Get this, under the right conditions, this remarkable plant can shoot up an astonishing 10 centimeters. That's nearly 6 inches in a single night. Yes, you heard that correctly. While most of your standard garden vegetables take weeks just to show any noticeable changes, asparagus is practically sprinting out of the soil. It's so fast, you can practically pull up a chair and watch it grow in real time. But seriously, how on earth does a simple garden plant pull off this kind of overnight marathon? What exactly is powering this incredible burst of vertical speed, allowing it to add multiple inches while we're all fast asleep? Well, let's find out. The overnight growth spurt. So this lightning-fast growth rate isn't just a modern marvel. It's a biological trait that has fascinated humans for millennia. I mean, even the ancient Romans were so obsessed with its rapid biology that Emperor Augustus actually coined the phrase, faster than asparagus is cooked, to describe getting something done incredibly fast. It cooks in just a few minutes, right? Well, its growth rate out in the field is just as legendary. It grows so rapidly that if a farmer waits just a little too long, the spear starts to get tough and woody. Because it grows so fast, the thing we actually call a vegetable is really just a plant baby. It's just a young, super tender shoot pushing its way out of the ground. And harvesting it at this perfect tender stage is a literal race against time. Because of that crazy overnight growth spurt, farmers have an extremely short harvest window. We're talking just about 8 weeks in the spring. They are literally out in the fields macheting the ends off these young shoots every single day, just desperately trying to catch them before they grow too tall. The massive underground engine. Now, if we really want to answer the how and why behind this explosive 10-centimeter nightly growth, we have to look beneath the surface, way beneath the surface. While that tiny 6-inch edible spear is all we ever see above ground, underneath, there is a massive root cluster called a crown. Think of it as a gigantic energy bank plunging up to 6 feet deep into the earth and growing up to 2 feet wide. This massive subterranean engine is the exact reason why asparagus can shoot up overnight. It spends years storing this immense amount of power, and then in the spring it unleashes all that stored energy upward toward the light in one massive, rapid push. But as you might guess, building an engine that big takes immense patience. Farmers have to play a totally grueling long game. Instead of just planting seeds, they plant these 1-year-old crowns in deep trenches. And then they just wait. Year 1, no picking at all. Year 2, maybe, just maybe, a very light harvest. It actually takes 3 to 5 years just to build up this underground engine before they can pull a full harvest. It's actually one of the slowest growing edible plants in the world to establish, which kind of makes its eventual overnight growth speed even more mind-blowing. But man, once that subterranean engine is fully established, it is an absolute powerhouse. A single perennial plant can pump out daily spears for up to 20, sometimes even 30 years. That massive 6-foot root system acts like an almost endless battery. You plant it once, patiently wait through the setup phase, and it will quite literally feed a family for decades. The secret fern transformation. Okay, so what actually happens if a farmer or, a hungry, thieving neighbor doesn't cut that spear in time? Well, in just a matter of days, the tightly packed scales on the tip open up, and that little spear completely transforms. It turns into a towering, feathery green fern that can reach 10 to 15 feet tall. And this really perfectly illustrates the dual life of asparagus. The spear we eat is just stage 1. If you let it go, it becomes something that looks way more like a wispy green tree than a side dish. And this massive fern isn't just hanging around looking pretty. It has a super crucial summer job. It spends the entire summer unfurling this delicate foliage, photosynthesizing and absorbing sunlight to pump all that energy straight back down into the crown for next spring's harvest. Oh, and fun fact, if it's a female plant, it will grow small red berries that are actually poisonous to humans. By the fall, the massive fern dies back, gets mowed down, and the underground engine goes to sleep until spring, ready to shoot up 10 centimeters a night all over again. Crafting white gold. Now, humans are pretty clever, and we've actually figured out how to hack this plant's biology to create something highly prized. We know the plant aggressively pushes upwards seeking the sun, but what if we never let it find the light? Well, it turns out white asparagus isn't a different genetic plant at all. It's simply green asparagus grown completely in the dark through a specialized agricultural technique called blanching. You see, the second an asparagus stalk pops out of the ground and hits the sun, it produces chlorophyll, which turns the tip purple and then eventually green. So the golden rule here is pretty simple. No sunlight equals no chlorophyll. To pull this off, farmers build massive mounds of sandy dirt right over the roots and cover the rows in special foil tarps. These tarps reflect the sunlight away and control the temperature. The asparagus grows as large as possible deep underground, and farmers literally have to carefully dig in with their fingers and cut the stalks with a special knife called a Spargelstecher, all before the tips ever breach the surface and turn green. This intense, literal race against the sun yields a sweeter, thicker stalk. And top chefs, they go crazy for it, nicknaming it white gold and paying up to $25 a pound. It's incredibly prized in European countries like Germany and France. But because of the unbelievable amount of labor required to mound the soil, cut them blindly underground, and then ship them within their super short 10-day shelf life, it fetches about 3 times the price of regular green asparagus. Kitchen science and secrets. All right, now that we know all about this crazy 10-centimeter nightly growth and giant root systems, let's bring it back to the kitchen. A lot of us were taught to just bend the asparagus until the woody end snaps off naturally, right? Well, stop snapping the ends off. Kitchen tests show snapping is totally unreliable. Depending on where your thumbs are applying force, it can snap absolutely anywhere, meaning you might be throwing away perfectly good edible food. Snapping can waste up to 50% of the spear, compared to cleanly cutting and peeling, which gives you less than 30% waste. So here is the science-backed method. It's super simple. Step 1, cleanly cut about an inch off the bottom. Step 2, peel that fibrous lower skin. This step is absolutely vital because asparagus skin has an impermeable waxy cuticle designed by nature to hold onto moisture. By peeling that waxy skin about 2/3 of the way up, you allow your marinades, salt, and cooking liquids to penetrate perfectly into the plant tissue. Then, step 3, just simmer or braise it for a silky, tender, and sweet bite that completely transforms the entire vegetable. Okay, and we absolutely cannot do an explainer on this without talking about the infamous asparagus pea. Asparagus contains a unique chemical that our bodies break down into volatile sulfur compounds. But here is the crazy biological twist. As mapped out in this matrix here, scientifically, every single human falls into one of 4 genetic categories. There are 2 completely distinct genetic traits at play. One trait determines if your body produces the smell, and an entirely different trait determines if your nose can actually detect the smell. So you might be making the smell but be blissfully unaware of it, or you might not make it at all but can smell it on everybody else. So we've covered a ton of ground today. Knowing what you know now, that it's an ancient plant baby powered by this massive 6-foot underground energy bank, capable of literally outliving your pets and shooting up 10 centimeters in a single night just to reach your plate, will you ever eat it or cook it the same way again? The next time you see a bundle of green or white spears at the market, you are going to know exactly the biological marathon it ran to get there. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this sparks just a little extra curiosity the next time you step into the kitchen. See you next time.